This looks familiar. Pulling into the parking lot of the Pacifica Taco Bell that I told you about. I'll show you the view from the deck here. View from inside the Pacifica Taco Bell. Hard to believe that some big expensive restaurant hasn't taken over this area and bought out this spot. I'm coming in here to buy a $1 breakfast burrito, and look at the view I get. Lindemar Beach, south side by the Taco Bell. A lot of beginning surfers start out here because the waves are smooth. It's a very slow, sloping beach. So the waves don't get too rugged here. And that's why a lot of beginners come here. You can see it's kind of small waves, a lot of longboards, that kind of thing. They even have a surf school that comes out here and okay, so now we're just past Gray Well Cove here, and I got a little lookout spot for the north side of Montara that I'm thinking about going to today. It's right around this corner here. Let's see, it's either this one or the next turnout. I think it might be the... Okay, that's the spot I'm talking about, North Montara State Beach. The main Montara State Beach. That rock right about in the middle of the screen there that shoots out from the cliff. We want to kind of go somewhere in the vicinity of that, and if I can, I'll climb around the corner, and then there's some rocks I can set up on over there. But I'm gonna get another view. Okay, and here's another view from the other turnout down the road of that rock that comes out and goes into the water. That's a good place to stand. But if you go in towards the cliff and come around, it's really treacherous. I don't advise anyone doing this. You could come around and then over to the right of that rock where you can't see right now, there are some rocks that you can set up on. It's pretty nice. You can see there's a fellow right down there in about the center of the screen. He's fishing, enjoying himself. That's a good spot. But we're gonna put our waders on and try to make it a little bit over that way, a little more remote. Then we could fish out of that hole right up there, so on the other side of that rock. These surfers over here, and they said there's fish jumping out of the water out there. They said there's schools. There's oh, there's a warden out there. If you come out here, always bring your fishing license and don't break the rules. It's not worth it. Always follow the rules. But anyways, yeah, they said dolphins, which are always a good sign for fishermen, and many other kinds of fish jumping out of the water, and guys on the surf bringing in perch, whatnot. So let's go see what we can find. And to the right is the north. A mussel, a nice big one, washed up with some of the clam heads, as they call them. They like growing around the same places that the mussels grow. Now, the reason why a lot of these wash up on the beach is because the birds go out there and they attack these clam heads, and they attack the mussels too. I mean, it takes a really hard beak to bust through this shell here, but they do it. I've seen them doing it out there, and sometimes they bust off a lot of them. They fall in the water, and then the tide brings them up. You can use these for bait, both the clam heads and the mussel. I think the mussel's a little better because it's got a stronger scent to it. But the clam heads, they stay on the hook better. And here's a look over at the north side and where we're headed. And here's the spot where we saw the fella from the lookout point up above fishing. As I was pulling into the parking lot, I saw that he was leaving. Didn't get a chance to talk to him. If you look right over here, he picked a really good spot. There's a trench. There's the trench that I'm always talking about. And I could probably even throw right here for both perch and Dungeness. I think that'd be a good little feeding area right in there for Dungeness. But we want to go around this bend up here to the right, and around that corner you can see there is some current there. Very dangerous. I don't advise people to do this, and if you do, make sure you wear good traction. See all that moss there on the rocks? That'll cause you to slip, and get your gloves on. Don't wait too long when you see your interval. You might end up out there. Depending on the height of the sand, this has actually made a pretty good fishing spot at times. Right now the sand is actually kind of high, and the place that's going to help me is when I come around this corner here, as you'll see. We're cutting right around where that little half moon cutout is right there, about in the middle of the screen. And we got to do a little bit of rock climbing, not too bad though. Before I risk my life and my equipment falling into the ocean, this little cove over here that I like to get into, which would be right behind that big rock there. See that big rock in the center of the screen? Over to the left there, and on the other side of that rock that sticks out, there's a little cove, but the sand is extremely high in that cove right now. And I'm not sure if that's going to be a primo fishing spot. And then I'm looking over here at this trench, and this one's a beauty. And it doesn't require me climbing around the side of the rocks over here, which can be very hairy. We might save that for another time, because I'm going to watch this trench a little longer over here. But it's not much of a trench. See, it's real shallow there. There's a sandbar. I mean, there's the sand of the beach right there. And then if you go up, it doesn't even look like it's very deep in that pool. Maybe a couple of feet deep. And then there's another sandbar out over there. So, for right now, this is our spot. On sandy beaches, the good spots always change. There's no Hey, where did you go to get those? Because you could go to one spot 1 week, and the next week it'll be a whole different story. So let's figure out a good setup here and a safe place to put our stuff so we don't lose it all. What we're gonna do, we're gonna set our stuff up right over here, either in that cove or up on these rocks here, so that the stuff is out of the way of the incoming waves. Okay, here's where we've actually chosen as an alternative to the spot right over there to the right as a place for setting up, because I got a little extra help here. It's pretty much a west, possibly southwest swell, and these rocks are directly west in front of me, and so they will block any rogue waves and possibly save all my equipment over here, because we don't want to lose that. But if you do, that's just the way it goes out here. Okay, and since we're so close in today on the surf, and we want to make sure this snare stays out there where I throw it, I got this extra weight I was telling you about right here. Just pop that in there like that, and there's still room for the squid. Pop the squid in there. It's actually better if the squid's kind of bulging up against this and pushing the rubber band and making the rubber band tight, so that this doesn't open up and then the crab just steals all your bait. Okay, here we go. Poke the holes in the squid just like I said I would. About 100 holes in here. This thing's gonna fall apart like, well, let's see how this works anyways. I'm gonna throw it right out there where the water's deepest. Okay, it looks like I'm getting what might be a crab pulling on the squid bait, pulling on the snare type of thing. So let's give it a shot. It's been about 10 minutes. I was setting up my fishing pole over there for catching fish. But let's see if we caught a crab here. Yeah, I felt some weight on there at first, but I guess you didn't get caught in any of the loops here. You know, it's always a gamble, but you can see how much of the squid this particular crab is eating. So let's put more squid in there. I'm getting some perch action on my Berkeley Gulf worm here, right over here. What we have here is a calico surf perch. These are probably one of the best tasting perch. You can tell it's a calico because of this part right here. Otherwise, they kind of look like the red tails. The red tails, the tails and the fins turn red, but sometimes they're not as red as at other times. It has to do with their, you know, their state of mind at the time. But on the red tails, right up in here, I'd say like the about like the third, fourth, and the fifth of these spines here comes way up. You'll notice the difference on a red tail. It goes boom and then comes back like that. So, okay, there's the inside of the mussel right there. And there's a couple of good parts. This part right here, this is where they attach to the rocks with these stringy things right here. I'm gonna chop that off. I don't think they're interested in eating that. But right below that is a spot here which is really good for hanging onto your hook. If you put the hook through this part right here, it'll have all this other white part here that you can cut away. Like, here's how you do it. You go like that, cut the white part away like that, and then on the back side over here, cut it away. Feels like a perfect. Looks like smelt. Looks like a jack smelt here. And it gets so big out here that I just fillet these guys. I'll show you that later on. Well, here's a new little friend. Just showed up. Okay, there's something over here. This one is a keeper. I guess I should relax the weight off of his lip as soon as I can. He's a little frightened right now. Nice and gently. This guy's going back in the ocean. There we go. Okay, so we're getting a bunch of small bites. I don't think any big ones. Some big fish have a small mouth, like the striped surf perch that frequents this area a lot. I've got a lot of striped surf perch out here. And I guess this used to be a sabiki line. However, there's only 2 hooks left. But these are smaller hooks. So if there's something out there with a smaller mouth other than the smelt and the silver perch, we'll find out real soon. So here's a full sabiki. This one here has 2, 4, 6 hooks. They're very small hooks. They're about a size number 4 hook. As you can see, you just put like a little piece of bait on there and you have less chance of missing a fish with a smaller mouth. This one right here, this will probably just fall off as I'm casting it, but they love this. Might be a keeper silver perch. Take a look, we'll measure them out. Always be careful with your hooks. You don't want to end up with a hook in your eye. This is a keeper silver for me anyways. You could keep them at any size, but you can only catch 10 of them. As you can see, this one here is about 8.5 inches right there. A little more than 8.5, almost 9 inches. That's a good size for a silver perch. And so we'll throw him in the bucket. crabs too, the little ones. Anyway, so here's how you hook a clam head. Well, here's one way you can hook a clam head. Everybody has a different idea, but right there's the orange, soft, meaty inner part that they like. So I put that real close to the end of the hook, so that if they bite on that, there's a good chance that you catch a fish. Okay, here we have a very small little silver perch. We're going to throw this one back. Big piece of squid on the bottom hook. Still got that long string of muscle on the top hook. I thought I'd put it over by these rocks here, see if there's any rockfish there. It didn't turn out to be a school of smelt, or if it was, they swam off right away. So I think I put in 3 jack smelt. Let's see. They're all seasoned out here. Okay, haven't picked up any crabs yet, so maybe I need to throw it out there a little bit further. I'm going to show you how nature provides. Oh, got headed over there for that. I hope he's careful. Anyways, I'm going to go right up there, and I'm going to chuck this thing in the water. Should give me a little more distance than being down here on the sand. Okay, so I've been joined by a couple other fellow fishermen out here on the rocks today. They're right over there on my right. And you just saw me throw that crab snare from the top of that rock right there. Actually, I don't really think it gave me that much more distance. So maybe I'll just keep throwing it from the surf. Let's put the fishing line back in the water. And so we're gonna cast from top of this rock again and see what we can do from here. Wow, that bird came from nowhere, but we just missed each other there. Okay. So I'm looking right over here. That's where I cast out and where I've been fishing. And then over here, if you look, as the white water recedes back into the waves, look at all those sand crabs right there. So those little bumps in the water. That's a bunch of sand crabs scrambling for position, trying to get back down in the sand because the water has loosened them up. And then there's a trench right behind that. And from here I could hit that trench, so I don't even have to go down on the sand. Looks like a good spot. Let's give it a shot. I'm getting some kind of little bite here though, so let's see what we got. That last round there, I noticed a bunch of small hits, hit after hit after hit. And if you look at the worms, they're bitten it all off. The tail end, the free end. So they must be small. And I noticed these guys over here, they're all pulling in silvers. So we're gonna switch back to a sabiki for a while until something bigger shows up. Silver perch. Okay. Oh, and this is a little barred perch, so we're gonna let him go. This one's probably about a 7-inch barred perch. Okay, so this is kind of the way that surf perch fishing works. There's usually 1 or 2 good runs during the day. I missed that one in the morning. And now they're just hitting every time I throw it in there, just about 10 feet out. Let's do it. This one's pulling a little bit harder than a silver perch, that's for sure. Let's see what we got. Yeah, looks like a silver perch. Maybe it's a keeper. Oh no, it's a barred perch. Small barred perch. Yeah. One of these little guys. This might be the guy I just caught a few minutes ago. Yeah. This one could be like 8 inches or something. You could keep a barred perch this size, but I prefer to catch a fish when it's full grown. That's why with the silvers, I say over 7 inches. I almost want to bump that up myself to 8 inches. But anyways, let me get this guy back in the water, okay? And back to the ocean we go. Okay, got another fish here on the line. See what we got this time. Oh, looks like a silver. Most likely a keeper. Looks like maybe a 10-inch silver. Yeah. That is a nice silver. Probably 10 inches, maybe more. I'll measure them. So let's see what the tape measure says. Tape measure says 9 inches. We're close to it anyways, with his mouth pulled out like that. Definitely over 8 3/4. Okay, we just got another one here. There must be a whole school of silver perch out there right now, because that's what this one feels like as well. Let's see if it's big enough. This one's a little bit on the small side. I'd say this one's going back in the ocean. Yeah, I want to bump up my size on keeping silvers. Like this one here is probably about 7 inches. I think I'm gonna bump my own keeper size up to 8 inches. Let's do that, okay? And let's let this guy back in the water. And hopefully I'll find one of his bigger cousins. Okay, so now this day is coming to an end. Got about an hour of sunlight left. The silver perch started hitting. And we're gonna move our stuff from around this corner over here over to this spot right back over here, since there seems to be a nicer trench right there, and that's where we're gonna throw. Okay, so we're gonna put the last few couple of casts in here. Maybe we'll hit the silver perch limit, maybe not. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to have any goals out here. Nobody's gonna judge you. Look at that beautiful sunset. Awesome.